We just got done watching the best, worst basketball game in the NBA of all time between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves, a game that featured really high highs and really low lows. It was really ugly at times with a lot of turnovers on both sides of the basketball. Offenses struggling to score, but it was intense. It was intense throughout because this game is kind of like a game 6 in the playoffs. You really want to win this game. Technically, you have one more, but it had a lot of high intensity, a lot of big moments. Came right down to the wire, and the Los Angeles Lakers won 108-102 in overtime. At the end of regulation, Dennis Schroeder hit a 3 with about 1.2 seconds left. And then Anthony Davis fouled Mike Conley. Mike Conley went up there with 3 of the ballsiest free throws you're ever going to see to send the game into overtime. It featured great performances from LeBron James, and kind of the other stars struggled a little bit. Karl Anthony Towns was really, really good through 2.5 quarters. Mike Conley had an excellent basketball game. And Anthony Edwards, the young stud for the Minnesota Timberwolves, probably played the worst game of his career. We're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about where I see the Lakers matching up a little bit with the Memphis Grizzlies. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves as well, heading into, they have one more game, obviously, against the winner of the Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans. Before we do get into all of that, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We are about to hit 1,200 subscribers, and as the playoffs hit, we're going to be doing videos every single night talking about the playoffs, so make sure you subscribe. Love to have conversations with y'all. Love to just break down hoops, so that's what we're doing over here. So in this game tonight, LeBron James finished with 30 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 turnovers, 2 blocks. He also had 5 fouls, made him play a little weird at the end. Anthony Davis had 24 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks as well, 5 turnovers. So the turnover battle in this game was 20 turnovers to 20 turnovers. So when I talk about it becoming an ugly basketball game, that's what I mean. Turnovers through the roof. And both of those teams are going to have to figure that out if they want to do anything coming up in the playoffs. Now, the interesting thing here is that when I'm looking at this Lakers squad, is that at times they look like they could potentially be one of the best defenses in the entire NBA, but they can really only do that in spurts. And I think that is kind of interesting to watch, that when they turned it on, and tonight the Timberwolves from the 6:01 minute mark of the fourth quarter to the end of overtime only scored 7 points. So in an 11-minute span, they only scored 7 points. That's credit to the Lakers. Now, obviously, Anthony Edwards, like I said, was really struggling. And when he's struggling with his confidence like that, I do think that affects the rest of the offense. Makes them play a little weird, trying to get him going. But the Lakers did a great job shutting them down and not giving them any easy looks, regardless of a guy struggling here or there, not giving up easy buckets. 3 of those points were on the foul at the end of regulation, so only 4 points in overtime. The Lakers locked up on defense, played at a really high level, and I think that that's transferable when you get into these playoff series. You're going to be playing the Memphis Grizzlies, another team that's really good on the defensive end of the court, but kind of is lacking size with Steven Adams and Brandon Clark being out. So one of the things that when we watched tonight, the Los Angeles Lakers decided to go with Dennis Schroeder over D'Angelo Russell. Dennis Schroeder tonight had 21 points. He was a plus 22, which was by far the best on the team. I guess Hachimura was a plus 20, but like LeBron was a minus 14. Dennis Schroeder played really solid and made a ton of big buckets. We talked about that 3 at the end of regulation. He hit big free throws down the stretch to ice the game. He just played a really solid basketball game. D'Angelo Russell was 1 of 9, only played 24 minutes, 0-4 from 3. We've seen him have some playoff struggles in the past. In fact, last year for this Timberwolves squad, D'Angelo Russell really struggled. So when they go into the playoffs, you're looking at your lineups, you're breaking down who's going to get big moments, who's going to, get those closing minutes. I think it's going to be Dennis Schroeder because I think he's just a little more reliable in those times, and you can trust him the way that it seems like LeBron trusts him to make that pass out to the corner. LeBron made the right play there, and that's kind of been the mantra for LeBron's career, making that right decision. Now, is this Los Angeles Lakers team that we saw tonight going to be able to beat the Memphis Grizzlies? I don't think so. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't come out and play at a higher level than they did tonight. One thing that does concern me, this game got into overtime. LeBron James played 45 minutes. Anthony Davis played 43 minutes. You're going to have a few days of rest before you start playing Memphis. But will this team be able to recover when those games start getting every other night? That's what happens once you get farther and farther in the playoffs. You start playing games every other night. And the recovery time for the Lakers is going to be a very interesting question mark. Will LeBron James, will Anthony Davis, will these guys be able to play every other night at a high level? So LeBron tonight was solid on the offensive end of the court. Defensively was a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Lackadaisical. There were times he just wasn't closing out on three-point shooters, wasn't closing out on shooters, and that hurt them. That hurt them in the first half. They gave up 60 first-half points, which is a lot, but in the second half, they locked up, gave up 38 points in the second half. That'll work. That'll work playing that kind of defense when it matters most. So ultimately, when the Lakers turn it on, they can be a good basketball team. I question if they can turn it on for 4 consecutive series to get to that goal of winning an NBA championship. Anthony Davis grimaces 3 to 4 times every single game. Tonight he had a couple moments that you're like, oh, is Anthony Davis hurt? Is he all right? What's going on there? And it's just the reality of it. There's a good chance that LeBron or Anthony Davis are going to go down with an injury. We obviously don't want to see that happen. I love LeBron James, would love to see him, succeed. But the reality is, if you're trying to figure out who you're picking in the Western Conference, I think it is a risky pick to bet that LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to be able to stay healthy for 4 consecutive series. And then they also, how many minutes they have together, it'll be interesting to see the lineups that Darvin Ham puts out there. Jared Vanderbilt only played 22 minutes tonight. And then, like we talked about, D'Angelo Russell only played 24. Austin Reeves was okay. 4 of 13 is not very good. You do need him to step up if you want to reach your potential. Had 12 points tonight, 3 turnovers. Again, 20 turnovers. They gotta lower that number if you want to compete once you get farther into the playoffs. They did win the rebounding battle, but not by much, and without Rudy Gobert. I want to briefly touch on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I've been someone that's been really high on Anthony Edwards, and I think he's made of the right stuff. His talent really impresses me. He came out in the playoffs last year and played at such a high level in that first round series against the Memphis Grizzlies. I think we saw that he has what it takes to play in big moments. He has what it takes to be a star in this league. And tonight, Anthony Edwards just had one of those games that you're like, it kind of makes you question the guy. But we've seen this so many times from NBA stars, from NBA superstars. So all I'm doing is being patient with Anthony Edwards and realizing that no legend has made made an NBA Finals championship run at this point in their career. Give him time to work through these struggles. We saw Kobe Bryant have series where he really struggled early on. We saw LeBron James have massive struggles against the Dallas Mavericks in the finals 7-8 years into his career. We saw Michael Jordan not be able to win a title for the first few years of his career. I believe he won year 7 as well. So give Anthony Edwards time to develop. Give him time to make mistakes. Give him time to, turn into the player he is. And sometimes performances like this that are embarrassing, that kind of hurt your confidence, can really get you in the gym working on your craft and motivate you to come back better than you were and, maybe reach his full potential, which I think is really high. Karl Anthony Towns was excellent for 2.5 quarters. He had 24 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. He cannot stay out of foul trouble. I don't know what it is about Karl Anthony Towns. He can't help himself. This is 2 years in a row that foul trouble has really hurt him in a lot of big moments. Tonight had 5 fouls and really wasn't able to play a lot in the third and fourth quarter. And if this Timberwolves team is ever going to compete, Cat's going to have to stay on the court, because the way that he's able to stretch the floor, be another scorer on the court, he's just got to find a way to stay out there. Now, obviously, we understand that this Timberwolves team is without Rudy Gobert, they're without McDaniels, and they're without Naz Reid, which are all huge pieces to this squad. We know that the Timberwolves are not going to be at full strength. Naz Reid, I believe, is out for the year. And then McDaniels with the fractured hand, I wouldn't imagine he plays by the time that they're out of the playoffs, because I don't think they'd win round one, even if they make it to the 8 seed. So all in all, Mike Conley played excellent tonight. I like what he provides for him. I hope that he's still good in 1 or 2 years when this Timberwolves team is actually in contention. Anthony Edwards, I think, will learn from this performance. Karl Anthony Towns got to learn to stay on the court. Rudy Gobert got to stop punching his teammates. And Kyle Anderson, I don't know. I do think he deserves some of the blame in that whole situation. Calling your teammate the B word is certainly unacceptable, regardless of what's going on. So they got to figure that out. They got a little mess there in Minnesota, but they have young studs. We'll see how they develop. We'll see how the Lakers do against the Memphis Grizzlies in round one. I'm pumped for that series. Dylan Brooks already talking trash to the Lakers. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be great TV. We'll see what happens, and I'll make my official picks probably Friday. That video will come out, so we'll see who I end up going with. But again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all watching. Cyborg out.